So in mercy, we have particular acts of kindness, particular kinds of gifts that we give to others. In love, we have the gift of the whole self. It's something total. What difference do you think that makes when we talk about loving our neighbour? I mean, we could just say, be merciful to our neighbour. But the text we're looking at from the Christian Gospel speaks of love of neighbour, and, of course, that does occur many times in the Quran, to love one's neighbour. So what's the difference then? What difference does it make to say love rather than just mercy? I'd really like to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, if I may, Paul, it doesn't actually say love your neighbour.
Yeah.
It says love your neighbour as yourself.
As yourself, yes.
Yes. Which is a conditional.
Yeah.
Because that means don't love him more or less than yourself. In other words, you will not love yourself if you're doing something sinful or harmful. You will not love yourself in the ugliness of your ego. And you are not expected, I mean, forgive me for sort of trying to reinterpret.
No,
this is your business.
This is what I want to hear.
So as I understand of the two commandments, that loving your neighbor
Yes.
is conditioned by how you would love
Yes.
yourself. In other words, you would love what is good
Yes.
for your neighbor with all the passion and all the attachment that we usually reserve for ourselves. That doesn't mean that we love everything that bubbles out of our neighbor, nor does it mean that we love all of their faults or evil acts unconditionally. It means we love them in the sense that we want also, we love the good in them, we love their potential, and we love what is best for them and for others. Because the border of our neighbor is the rights of others. So in that, once we understand love in that context, then I would say that that is, yes, completely in line with
Yes.
what is required in the Quran and the Hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, none of you believes until you love for your neighbor what you love for yourself.
Yeah.
Or, and then another one,
Yes.
you love for your brother. And the neighbor here, of course, is everyone. Who is the neighbor? The neighbor is everyone. It's not, the chap who lives next door to you. No, it's everyone. It's your neighbor in humanity. So, yes,
So the neighbour who is far away in the Quranic verse is everyone.
yes.
Yes, which refers to the whole of humanity.
Yes, some of the commentators say that your neighbor who's near is your co-religious
Yes.
fellow, in other words, fellow Muslims. Neighbor who's everyone is someone who's not your, so someone from another religion.
Yes. Well, if love is this gift of the whole self and loving the other one as one loves oneself, it's to do with this sense of wholeness, what difference in practice should it make to the way that we run society if we had this in mind, this gift
Yes, well,
of oneself in love?
that is also, the limits of that are defined by the hadith. What you would love for yourself, in other words, your neighbor has certain rights that you love them. Of course, you can't spend your whole time loving one neighbor because you have to love yourself first and all the other neighbors. And of course, before that, there's the first commandment itself. Now, what are the practical limitations? Well, I was honored to write about that in your festschrift.
Yes.
Which are,
I was delighted to have your contribution.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
so in the festschrift, I say that by simple syllogism, the golden rule is the law and the prophets. The two commandments are that on which hangs the law and the prophets, and therefore the golden rule hangs on the two commandments. Therefore, just loving your neighbor, that you're treating your neighbor as you would love to be treated yourself, depends upon the sufficient intention of love of the neighbor, love of God first, and love of the neighbor of thyself. Now, I tried to argue in that seminar we had in Oxford that in fact is the basis for law and can be a philosophical basis for law, and in fact I think it was and is of rights. You see, the Quran says that Christianity has a shir'atun wa minhaj. Shir'atun is literally a small sharia, in other words, a small law, and the minhaj. And minhaj is a program. And that is, as I understand it, the program of Christianity. The golden rule and the two golden commandments. And it's based on love. And this, of course, is what I've said in the book on love of the Quran, very much present in the Quran and in the Hadith. And you see, we have a Sharia where particular laws are given in Islam, but the principle of the law is the same, and that is precisely that what we're talking about.
I think we should remind those who are looking at this, listening to this conversation, about what the golden rule is, but it may just be that there's someone there who doesn't, in fact, know what the golden rule is. So could you just
No, you can quote
do
it.
unto others what you would have them to do to you? Yes, treat others exactly as you'd expect them to treat you. And you're suggesting that what we need to do is to integrate that with the double love command. If we put that together, then we have a basis
Yes.
for law, for civil society,
Yes,
for the
because
structure
yes,
of our commerce.
we have a principle for jurisprudence.
Yeah.
Now, why that's important? Because if you just take doing unto others as you do, for example, I don't drink coffee. I like tea. Perhaps you don't like tea. So if doing unto others meant that I would force everyone to drink tea or give tea only people tea, then that's really applying the golden rule without the golden commandment.
So you have to qualify one by the other.
That's what I'm saying. You have to qualify one by the other.
Yes. And then we have there the basis for thinking through how we live in relation with each other in society and indeed between countries.
Precisely.
Yes.